Welcome to Vegas Live with Ninon. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome back to Vegas Live with Ninon, and you know who I am. I'm Ninon Rosa, and I'm the host of this program that is actually filmed out of Quirky Minds Media Studios. Absolutely amazing. And I have Debbie and Walt Smith with me. And we're going to be talking about something which I'm actually fascinated about, because when I think about coral, which is what they both do, but we're going to get into it obviously a little bit more, I think about my mother, and she had this incredible coral necklace. And it was one of her very, very favorites, and she absolutely loved it. And it never at that time as a little girl didn't know much about, coral. And then recently I found out that coral was disappearing from the reefs. And I found out how it grows and how one little seed is left and that can multiply. And so tell me the story. It's fascinating story you have.
What you said about coral disappearing is basically true. What's happening around the world due to global warming and human impact is that the coral reefs are disappearing because corals depend on the temperature of the water to stay alive.
Yes, yeah.
And the water is warming up.
Yeah.
And that's not good news for the coral.
No.
So both Deborah and I moved our young girls in 1989 to the South Pacific because I loved coral. I was in the pet industry, and I supplied tropical fish and so forth to the aquariums around the world.
Really?
From Los Angeles.
How beautiful.
And I had an opportunity to expand what I did and take it to the source. So the first place we moved in 1989 was the Kingdom of Tonga. Now the Kingdom of Tonga...
I won't find where the Kingdom of Tonga is now.
We had a king and we had the whole royal family, and it was the last remaining monarch in the Pacific. In the Pacific. And actually the king, interesting side story, is in the Guinness Book of World Records of being the heaviest monarch that lived on Earth.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was quite
a big boy.
So he liked to eat.
Oh,
he
they all do.
Yes, he obviously didn't eat much fish because fish is not fattening, but it could be, right?
A lot of the root crops.
Depends how you cook it and the rest of the stuff that goes with it.
Right.
So what a fascinating story. So that's where you moved and with your two girls?
And then 7 years later, in 1995, we got an invitation from the Fiji government to come over and establish our business there.
And they invited you to come to their island.
Yes,
to Fiji.
To Fiji.
Fiji has 380 islands.
350, so this is one of the islands.
Right.
Because we always think of the Fiji Islands, don't we?
Right.
That's how we talk about them, yes.
Fiji has about 1 million people and 380 islands. So
yeah, there you go.
It's a pretty big...
I don't think people realize that how many islands that they have.
A lot of them not inhabited.
No, I'm sure, yeah, but a lot of them are, too.
Right.
Yeah.
A few.
Yeah, yeah.
And, that comes up a lot when people ask me. So, when we were there, we had a cyclone in the first year that we were living there. Which damaged the reef, tore it all to bits. And we were working the reef every day because we would go out in the water every day to do our work. Yeah. And we noticed that the coral reef was gone. It was smashed to bits, laying in pieces on the sand. So we thought this was pretty devastating and just really shocking.
Well, absolutely, yes.
Right.
Yeah, because this is your business, but also it's a living business. I mean, the coral is alive.
Right. It's alive. Yeah. It's a colony of living animals.
Correct.
So what happened is about a month later, a customer of ours came to visit us, and we took him out to the reef to show him the damage that the cyclone did and everything. Yeah. And Deb and I and he are swimming around, and we're looking at the coral that was broken, and we noticed that it was starting to grow, laying in the sand.
Just like grass, new grass.
New grass.
Yeah.
New grass.
And it found
growing towards the sun.
And it was trying to, so it rooted itself into the sand. Does it
didn't-
root itself? It
No,
doesn't
it
really
didn't
root
root
itself. It attaches itself, doesn't
No,
it?
it was just laying there.
Just laying there.
Yeah, and when I looked at that, I picked it up and I looked at it, and I could see that it was this much longer now. Because you could see the new growth.
Yeah.
I said, if this happens, we can farm this stuff. We can grow it
Brilliant.
by cutting little pieces off of big
Big pieces that could have been dead but weren't dead, but now you realise that obviously probably a lot of it wasn't dead.
Well,
It was growing.
the first commercial coral farm in the world was born in Fiji in 1998.
Coral farm. Have you ever heard of it? I mean, we've heard of a shrimp farm and all different farms,
Salmon farm.
salmon farms, but
Yeah.
But
coral,
you can farm the ocean.
you can
You
farm,
farm coral.
you can farm coral, so it'll never be lost.
We grow
It's true.
over 60,000 pieces a year.
You
And
do
we have-
now?
Yeah, when we have been since 1998.
Yeah.
We've actually replaced the reef with millions of pieces of coral. And one of the things to remember is that when you plant a new coral from a fragment, it already thinks it's an adult because it's just a piece of a bigger one.
Okay.
So when that gets planted, comes to maturity very fast.
So they grow very fast.
It not only grows, but
But it
every
matures.
year it spores and it spawns and has babies.
Is this why when, you have a little piece of coral, is this why, you see a little piece of coral, then you also see a big piece of coral? And is that why, because it expands so rapidly?
It grows about 15 to 17 centimeters a year.
Depending upon the type.
The
Some
type
are
of
very
coral.
fast growing. They grow like a weed.
And weeds
Some are
grow
slow.
fast, yes, because you go to your garden, the weed comes up, and the next day it's twice the size.
Correct.
But there's different colours of coral, right?
Oh,
Many.
yeah. And different species.
And different
Many
species, because
different
we all
species.
think of coral as being this kind of the coral colour, which is sort of the orangey.
Comes in reds and blues and greens and pinks and yellows. We have many. This is just to give you an idea. This is our NGO that we started.
This is what has started. Oh,
And so this is the coral fragments that are grown on the base.
see, you don't think of these. There's the yellow, and then there's the
Pink,
pink, and then there's
Purple.
the purple.
right.
Oh
So
my
we only
goodness.
target the fastest growing species.
Why?
Because it's more successful.
Okay.
And it means faster growth on the reef itself.
Yeah.
So we have actually gone to areas where there was nothing but a sandy bottom
Okay.
and rocks.
And is that under the water?
It's underwater.
Yes.
All underwater.
All
Okay.
underwater.
100%.
And now it is a coral reef that stands up about 3 to 4 feet high. And the villages actually gets their food from that reef that was nothing but a bare
nothing.
sandy
Because the
bottom.
fish come back.
So you actually regrew this. Now, the story I was going to mention was in Australia. All the coral reefs there have been destroyed, and they've all died.
Quite a few of them.
Yeah. And now they're trying to bring them back again. That's what the story I had was, and I was fascinated by this story because I was learning, because you could see the beautiful corals, and then all of a sudden it was bare, nothing. And then you saw people were trying to grow it back again. You see, it's just what you were talking about,
Right.
little things growing.
Regenerate it.
They're regenerating it.
Right.
And that wasn't through the hurricane, though. That was probably through the
Through the
warm
coral
water.
bleaching.
Climate change.
What
Climate
happens
change.
is coral has a symbiotic algae that grows underneath the tissue.
Okay.
And that symbiotic algae is called zooxanthellae. So when the water gets too warm, the zooxanthellae leaves, well, the coral, and goes off on it,
Yeah.
goes off and dies.
Yeah.
That's the food source for the coral. The coral grows its own garden right
Grows
underneath
its
its
own
tissue. So when
Survival.
when you hear the word bleaching, it refers to the coral looks white, like it's been dipped in bleach.
Yes.
And the reason for that is the zooxanthellae is what gives the coral its color.
Oh,
And when it's gone, you're actually looking at a skeleton through the tissue.
like a bag of bones.
Right.
A bag of coral. Dead.
Well,
What's
it's
calcium?
still alive for a couple weeks.
So now this is calcium.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am learning a tremendous amount. I thought I knew a little bit, but obviously, a little bit of knowledge is very dangerous. But, yeah, it's always very dangerous. But, so you've actually, so are you in the Fijis still, or you're not?
Yeah. No, we're still in
We're
Fiji.
still there.
You're still there, and you still have your farm there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Farms. Several.
Farm. You have several
Several.
farms there. You have them on all different islands or just on one island?
On different islands.
We have about 7 sites altogether.
7 sites. Now, how do you keep up with this? There's only the 2 of you.
We have staff.
We have a lot of employees.
You have a lot of employees that...
In our heyday, we employed over 200 people. With COVID right now, things have changed. And the government actually only allows our boats to go out so many days a week, and we're trying to get all our divers vaccinated. They have a different attitude in Fiji about the vaccination.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
So we finally appealed to them all, and we were successful in getting everybody.
So what is your goal right now? In other words, I guess I'm asking, how can we help? Vegas Live with Ninon, as you know, is a platform where we can get people to understand other people and how we can help them and get them out there and do things for them. So how can we can help by getting you on our show, but what is your next move now? How can we help?
Well, the AID site, which is ADE,
Yes.
Stands for Aquaculture Development for the Environment.
Okay.
Our site is aidproject.org.
Okay. ADEproject.org. Org means it's a foundation.
Right,
Yes.
it is. And we're registered both here in the States and in Fiji
Okay.
as an NGO, what they call non-governmental
Yeah,
organization.
non-government, yeah.
And it's a legal nonprofit. If you go to that site, there's very easy ways to donate.
To donate and
to
help you.
Help the cause. We've raised quite a bit of money so far, but it's nowhere near enough. I think we've raised somewhere around 115,000 through outside donations.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing, but it's not enough.
It's not enough. This year we put a program out, a proposal out to the government that we can grow 1 million corals in 1 year.
Okay.
And we can because we've already got the technology.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
you've been doing this
We
for
just
years.
have to
You know
s-
exactly
Yeah.
what you're
We
doing.
just have
I
to
mean,
scale up
come
what
on,
we're
hello.
Right, right.
And the other way is,
Yeah, I've noticed you've got this lovely, colourful-looking
Well,
book.
we decided to write, I had an idea about these characters called the Bula Buddies
The Bula Buddies.
And-
How'd you get that name?
Bula means hello.
Okay.
in Fiji.
It means many things, like
Okay.
aloha.
Aloha. Okay.
Right, so bula is
Bula.
a wonderful greeting. If
It's
you
a
sneeze,
Fiji
they'll
word.
say bula,
Bula.
to you.
Bula. I love it.
Bula bula is a
Bula
very
bula.
warm greeting.
It's a very so when someone says Bula Bula, next
Yeah.
time I'll bow.
Well, it's centered around 4 underwater heroes
Okay.
who are going to help save the reef.
Okay, we're
They
going to
notice
save the reef.
they notice something's going on, and
Well, I know because I listen to the program, and
Right.
it's definitely disappearing. So
Right.
we need people out there, and this is what this is. Isn't that amazing? Did you design this,
Yes.
or
yes,
you design?
created it.
We had an outside artist do the graphic.
Well,
work,
yes.
but he wrote the story.
Yeah, but you wrote the story and had the
Well, and-
idea.
and
Yes.
created the
Yeah,
characters.
you created the characters.
Yes.
And see this one. This looks like a
Little
spider,
lobster.
but it looks like a coral. It's got all these little things. Look, looks like there. See, look, it matches. Love it. Amazing.
So it's for children, so they can learn about the underwater, and they can also learn about the superheroes and learn about. There's so many people don't get wet, so many people don't understand what's under the water. So it's another
No.
way of being able to educate.
Yes, I happen to like under the water. I'm not keen on swimming anymore now, but I happen to like under the water, and I think it's fascinating with the corals, and what now you've explained it even more.
Right.
I'm even more interested because when I was listening to it, I thought, well, that can't die. They kind of because apparently the ones in Australia, these reefs were absolutely amazing, and I don't know if you probably know of them. I'm sure. You do.
Well, we know a lot about what's happening in Australia. We know a lot of the people there, and there isn't a place in the world that's tropical, even subtropical, that has a coral reef that isn't doing this activity
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
And it all started in 1998 in Fiji.
In 1919 Fiji.
That's the epicenter.
And that's where you started it. So you started the farming of it, which took it out of the water. It took it out of the sea, but it made it into a farm, right?
Farm under the water.
But it's still under the water.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Because coral can't grow unless it's under the water, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So it thrives on that as well as its stuff underneath. What did you call that again?
The substrate.
There you go. There you
It's
go.
kind of loose rubble
Yeah,
because you have a bit about. in the ocean as well. You have like sand, you have
Yes.
rubble, you have mud, you have
Everything.
everything
Yeah.
grows in different patches.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
they kind of look for, and they all grow.
Right.
How does it get the different colours? Is that through
It's the Zoomazelli algae that grows,
Zoomazelli?
and they'll exhibit different colorations.
Yeah.
And it's bred. So when the algae is living under this coral, it will look the pink or the purple that coral normally
Yeah.
looks, because it grows a certain kind of Zoomazelli algae. that has
I think
that
that's
color.
amazing. Well, I learned some. Well, I learned a lot actually. How can we help? What is your message you'd like to give out there on to reach the people that are in Balboa and also in the coral, and what would
If they
you-
visit
message?
the site, they'll see the site is very interesting,
Okay,
and it has a lot of videos and movies
and that's the adeproject.com.
.org.
.org. Sorry.
.org.
.org. O-R-G.
It's very informative.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a lot of very famous scientists that are on our board. The founder of Reef Check,
Okay.
the head curator of the Atlanta Aquarium at the Waikiki Aquarium many years ago,
Okay.
that back and
To back and understand what
that
you're
understands
doing.
the science part of what we're doing.
Yeah, but you two are both, Deb and Walt Smith, are both very well known all over the world. It might not be in the music industry, but if you're wearing a necklace that is coral, then it would be in the music industry, or earrings dangling around her, because that's what they use a lot of it for. What is it mainly used for, actually?
For coral.
Yeah.
Coral started out, it doesn't have any real value in the manufacturing world, but it's for the aquariums and public aquariums and for education.
Educational.
That's why it's used.
Yeah. That's the
People
main-
now, I often say, when I got into this industry back in 1972, there was no coral in aquariums because they couldn't keep them alive. And as technology started to advance for aquariums, right about the time we moved to Tonga,
Yeah.
the technology was available to start keeping coral alive. So that's where I started exporting live coral for aquariums, and people were successful. So I often say, you can now have a living coral reef in your living room right next to the TV.
Because they probably always think of it as
Yeah.
just a thing that's not living. They always
Right.
think
No,
it's
it's
just a
very
sort of
much
thing.
It's very much alive.
And
That's
people
very
grow
much
coral in
alive.
their
That's the
homes
beautiful.
now.
Yeah, that's the most beautiful part about it. It's a living creature. It's,
Yeah.
it's there.
And
They
peop-
actually
and-
share coral.
Yeah, they share coral.
Yeah.
Just like, sharing a garden, like
Yes.
it's gardening under the water. So there's
Yes.
a lot of people that share their cuttings, and I have this species from here and
And
this.
then
and
I'll give this to you. and
yeah,
you give me
it's
yours,
like
and they
trading
share.
stamps or trading coins.
And then
or
they wait till that grows, and
that grows up.
they'll cut pieces
Cut
of
a
that
little
off.
piece off and give it to the friend
Yeah.
of theirs.
Right.
It must be fascinating to do that and then watching it grow.
Right.
That must be the fascinating part.
Well,
Sort of-
it is.
Yeah,
It is.
it's watching it all grow up and everything else. So they all start like everybody else. It all starts as a baby.
Right,
It's all
right.
as a baby, which is a baby is a seed.
There's no escaping nature.
No, you
Right.
can't escape nature,
Right.
can you? And-
So we're seeking donations.
okay, so you,
So we can continue on with this NGO and keep spreading the message and bring in volunteers, and also help the Fijian communities.
Yes.
It's gender equality for the women. It's for sustainability for their food source. It's education for the children, for the
but
schools,
it's also you employ a lot of people, so
And
it's
it's
also
for-
giving other people jobs.
Right.
And
and tourism when it
employ the
comes
Tourism.
back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you must have seen a big drop in that.
Oh,
Oh,
Ooh,
oh,
wow.
oh.
Yeah.
here you can see where the women are involved.
Women
See,
are
look-
really good at help planting the corals.
See, there you go. There it all is. So get involved, become part of the water world. Is that what I call it?
Yeah,
We
sure.
call it the water world because they are living creatures there. I know we take it for granted. We go and swim. We go to all these different islands and different places for our vacations, and we kind of take it for granted that this is there and it's always there. But there's people like Walt and Deb that actually out there keeping it all alive, and you really are keeping it alive because you're growing it and everything
And
else.
spreading the message
And spreading
that
the
you
message.
can be done, that you can grow coral.
You can grow coral.
And it grows and it regenerates.
See? So you could have a whole
It's
house
not
full
doom
of
and
coral.
gloom. Yeah, it's not doom and gloom.
No.
Yeah.
If you consider how many corals we planted every year, and the fact that every year they spawn, in October, November is the spawning season.
A
Okay.
full moon.
And
Well, full moon.
on a
Oh,
certain
the full moon does many things.
Yeah.
This full moon cultivates many things.
But if you consider how exponentially that has grown,
Yes.
and how many pieces are in the water now, based on those original 60,000.
And if we all get out there and we help a little bit, you don't have to help much. If you can't help, feeling it, touching it, growing it, then financially you can help, and you can always say that, well, I was part of that and I helped
Right.
it. And I think that's beautiful.
Well, for $1, it helps plant one piece of coral.
Oh, so you can have $1?
For a coral.
And you have that on your website?
Yes.
Okay, so for $1 on the website, all it is just put your credit card number in there, $1, and you grow. Now, do they get a photograph of that?
They get a certificate.
They get a certificate?
And at the different levels, if there's a very large donation, there'll be GPS coordinates.
So they have lots of
Right.
different corals and
You
different
know where
things
your
going.
coral's growing.
You know where it's growing, how it's growing, and when it's growing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're trying to work out a program now where we can actually photograph the coral being planted,
Yes.
and then we can Instagram them back or send them back electronically.
Oh, that would be
somewhere.
amazing, because with the internet and everything you
Here-
can do, with
yeah.
the Zoom thing you can do all that and everything else and
Right.
send it to them.
It's just COVID got in the way a little bit of some of our
That's
plans.
That's all right, we're back again, and if it comes back again, we'll figure something else out, because that's, human beings are just the same, we keep growing, we keep doing, we keep
Yeah.
moving forward in our way, and then the underwater world does it their way, and that's what we have to understand. Deb and Walt, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming on.
Thank you very
Amazing. We
much.
learned an awful lot about it. Don't forget your donation, and that's going to go to adeprojects.org. We shall be right back with our next guest. Take care. Baker's Live with Ninon.
Thank you.